The last one was the one we were looking at all of the car seats. So we have our data set. And again, you do the exact same thing you did before, which is go into Stat. You'd go into Edit. And you'd put all of your data in List 1. Then you'd press your Stat key one more time. And you'd go over 1 to the right to calculate. And then you would press 1 variable stats again. And we get an output from our calculator, which looks like what we have on the next page. It would look something like this. But if you go back and look at this original example, remember that it was for a population, which means that we're not going to use S, we're going to use sigma here. We're going to use the population standard deviation again. And that's okay. But we still need our two things. We still need our mean, which is still 703.66 or 0.67. So we'll go ahead and round the mean to 703.7. And we'll use our standard deviation, our sigma, and we'll go ahead and round that. That rounds that up to 249. And then we can do our picture just like before. So what we'll start out with is our number line. And we'll draw our picture. We'll do that little bell curve again. And then remember what we said goes in the middle when we're doing this is the mean, which is that 703.7. And on the top end, to find the maximum value, remember we add 2 standard deviations. And on the lower end, to find the minimum usual value, we'll subtract 2 standard deviations from the mean. But remember, we have to do that first. We have to do the multiplication first, the 2 times the standard deviation first. Then we'll add or subtract it from the mean, just like before. So when we add or subtract the 2 standard deviations from the mean, the first value we get is, let's see, the 205.7. That's when we subtract 2 standard deviations from the mean. That's 205.7. And on the upper end, when we add 2 standard deviations to the mean, we get 12.01. 0.7. So what that means is your data values will be considered usual if they're in between those 2 values. So usual will be anything in between those 2. So that'll be from 205.7 to 1201.7. Now, if you go back to look at your data set, there is one value that's an issue, and it's this 1210 here, because that is not between the 205.7 to 1201.7. What that means is that because it's not in between those 2 values, it's not usual. It's considered an unusual value. So if they asked me if there were any unusual values, I'd say yes, and it's 1210. That's it. We're going to continue to use this idea of usual versus unusual throughout the entire semester. It's always going to be that we'll be adding or subtracting 2 standard deviations to find the max and the min.